It's easier to ruin an orgy than you think. All you gotta do is wait for it to get kind of quiet and then go, ew.
Dave Chappelle is one of the most iconic household names in stand-up comedy history.
And that's why I make the big bucks.
And today I am going to take 5 techniques that Dave Chappelle uses and break them down so you can bring them into your own comedy writing.
All right. It's gonna get worse than that. Hang in there.
Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Comedy, the channel dedicated to new comedians. My name is Gary Michaels, and on today's video we are going to dissect the stand-up comedy of Dave Chappelle. The techniques and skills we are going to be talking about in this video are social commentary, storytelling, impersonations and character work, timing and delivery, controlling the room. Let's start with the technique of social commentary. He offers his unique perception and challenges societal norms using his sharp observation and insightful humor.
You guys gotta remember, I'm not saying it to be mean. I'm saying it because it's funny.
So how can you implement this into your writing style? In order to have social commentary, you need to stay up to date on current events, social issues, and popular culture. So what you need to do when you start your writing is write out all of the topics of interest that you would like to cover on stage. You don't need to write any jokes, you just need to write out what the topics are. That way, whenever you go back to writing, you're not going to have a blank piece of page in front of you. Instead, you're going to pick a topic and you are going to write about it. First off, write everything you have to say about that topic. Write why one side is wrong and write why your side is correct. It doesn't need to be funny. You're just getting your ideas out. The funny will come later. It's important at the beginning just to get the writing on the paper and express yourself in whatever way you want. Then, when that's done and you've got a minute or two material written out on the page in front of you, then you can go back and put in the jokes. Then you can go back and put in the absurd angles, or perhaps you're changing your mind halfway through and you're joining forces with the opposite side. Or are you against the opinion of the audience on this matter? Or are you trying to lead them in the way because you agree with them but you have a few ideas of your own? Here's where you can get creative. But by putting all the ideas out on the page in front of you at the very beginning and not worrying about the jokes, then you can look at your page and put in the jokes afterwards. Social commentary also needs to be performed consistently in front of an audience. And not only that, you need to be watching the audience when you perform this type of material. You need to be winning over 80% of them nearly all of the time. And if you're not, then there's something slightly wrong with either the material or how you're addressing it on stage. Record your set all the time and always watch it back. Change small pieces of material at a time and small pieces of your performance at any time. Keep redefining it and keep getting on stage. Next, we move on to storytelling. Dave Chappelle is a phenomenal storyteller, and he has the ability of talking to an audience like he is deep in conversation with a small group of very close friends.
But if you're shopping and you know someone's watching you shop, that shit'll make you look like a thief.
He weaves engaging narratives into his routines, taking audiences on a journey through his experiences and observations. His storytelling skills allow him to create vivid characters and bring his anecdotes to life, captivating his audiences along the way. So how you are going to bring storytelling into your comedy is to craft compelling narratives. Develop interesting and engaging stories from your own experiences or observations. Pay attention to the structure, pacing, and details that make that story captivating. You really need to create the most vivid picture possible while creating these characters within your story, while talking about the surroundings of what you experienced while you're telling that story, while you're setting it up. Within the description of the people and the places and the things you are doing, there is loads of more room for observational humor. You should be putting in as many consistent jokes into the piece as possible, even if they don't have something to do with what you're talking about. By making people laugh consistently will engage them, because that's exactly how you would talk if you were going to tell a friend something that happened to you. You want to really bring them in. So get them interested in what you're saying and keep them laughing. And by building the tension with the information we have to tell them and releasing it with allowing them to laugh, we have this back and forth beautiful relationship with the audience. They will be interested in what you have to say and build attention if they know they are going to be made laugh in a few moments, if all they have to do now is listen intently. His impersonations and character work add depth and humour to his performance, allowing him to explore different perceptions among people. So what you are going to do is study people you want to impersonate. Watch videos, movies, and especially interviews of the people you want to impersonate. Study their mannerisms, their speech patterns, and their distinctive traits in order to be able to impersonate them. Be that person for as long as you can in your practice sessions. And then when it comes to writing, I want you to continue being that person and write a joke as they would write it. The best way of practicing such a technique is to do so in front of a mirror. Someplace you can see your entire body, or the more of your body, the better. That way you can really see how you're moving. Are you moving like they would move? And just like anything else, the more you practice this, the more you will transform into the person you are trying to imitate. And a great way of knowing if this is working for you is to suddenly perform their personality for one of your friends. If they know who you're impersonating and they laugh, then you're doing a good job. Stick at it. If they have no clue what you're doing, just stop. Say nothing about it and keep practicing. Try it again next time you're talking to them. They might then know who you're on about and know that you've been working on it and give you maybe a bit of a compliment. And us comedians could do with that from time to time. The next section is timing and delivery. It's a really good idea to watch your pacing and your delivery and connect it all together. This is done with paying attention to how you use your body on stage, how you use your facial expressions while talking about the material you're talking about, and slowing down your pattern in which you say it and sometimes speeding it up. Sometimes you have to play around and repeat yourself to get into a joke. There's all these different creative ways in which we can get to a punchline, and there's all these even more punchlines hidden in your material even when you don't know it. And the best way of uncovering hidden punchlines is to slow down and say the sentences you have written down in as many different ways as possible. In your practice, and most importantly on stage, you should always be changing the timing on which you perform your material on stage, because that is how you come across jokes you didn't even know were in there, and you can riff live on stage and come up with possibly one of the best punchlines in your entire routine, and you didn't even plan it. And that way, because you have your set recorded, you can always go back, watch it back, write it down, and put it in the set forever. And the final technique we have is controlling the room. Dave has a unique presence and ability to control the room. He has an ability to let the audience know that the overall message of what he's on about might take some time. Now, that's a technique that does take a lot of experience to put off, because at the early stage of your career, your audiences, for the vast amount of time, even at the good gigs where the audiences are easy, they're going to be waiting for the joke. They're going to be waiting for the punchline. And a lot of the time, the acts on stage don't get that long to do long form stories. So I would say, don't do long form stories. Instead, put as many jokes in there as you can. Keep them laughing as consistently through your short set as you can. I want you to pay attention to the confidence and charisma you bring on stage. It's not just something that magically appears after experiences. For some people it is, but for a lot of people, we really need to focus on how we carry ourselves on stage. We really need to pay attention. Again, are we inviting the audience in with us on the joke? Are we explaining the material in the easiest way we possibly can? And most importantly, are we painting a picture in the audience's mind about the direction where we're going? The descriptions we give about the people in their stories and about the places in their stories and about who we are they vivid enough? The more vivid in color those pictures in the minds of our audience are, the funnier our punchlines are going to be about the pictures we have planted in their minds. Of course, another great way of controlling the room is to open up conversations with the audience. The first 2 rows of people are safe ground. Talk to them. They sat there for a reason. They're perfectly happy with talking back to you. Even if they played a part like, oh, please don't talk to me, they sat in the front row for a reason. Talk to them about relationships, if they're in one, if they're not in one, if they're sitting next to their partner, about their work, what they do. And this, of course, you can lead to whatever joke you have prepared. Whatever punchline you have prepared, you can steer the conversation in that direction. That is controlling the room, controlling the audience. And of course, you know what you're going to ask them, so based on whatever it is they say, you just steer the conversation to wherever the hell you want. You're in the driving seat. You're the one that's come prepared. They haven't. Another way of dominating the stage is to perform in as many different settings as you possibly can. Try and get performances outside of just stand-up comedy gig. Perform at burlesque nights, cabaret nights. All of these venues are always open to having comedians on a bill, and they have very easy audiences. Stand-up comedy audiences are some of the hardest to perform in front of because they're there for one reason, and that's for you to make them laugh, sometimes against their will. All these other cabaret and burlesque audiences, they're just there to celebrate live entertainment. You'll see if you've ever been to one, they get really wild and they cheer easily. You're going to have an absolutely phenomenal set, but it's great for you because you're performing in a very different way, in a very different style, in a very different venue, which is not ideally suited to stand-up comedy. Get out there, perform in as many different types of stages as possible, even if it's a side of a room and there's no stage at all. Those really difficult gigs where you have to work to get the audience on your side, we all have horror stories about them, but they are the one gig that turn us into a fantastic performer that can turn up to any venue, and it doesn't matter if there's no stage or not. Just give me a microphone and I'm ready to go. So there you have it. They are the most common techniques and little tips I have seen while studying for this particular episode. I really hope you have enjoyed and got value from this video. I really appreciate you giving the time over to pay attention to it and go out and smash those gigs. Until the next time, I will see you on the next video.